Isn't.
Where's
There's so
the
many with so
motion that
few
goes
square
with
footage
this?
to
It's
cover.
like number 16.
Maybe
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
okay.
the
16 and 17.
records
15
records
and
management
16.
grant.
Okay.
Excuse me, 18 and 19,
Are you gonna be around tomorrow or anytime this week?
Sure.
under trustee Lindbergh,
Oh, yeah, yeah, sure.
after the repayment of water and
I
surcharges.
don't quite get this. I don't get that.
Yeah.
We are live.
You're live, okay.
She should email, give me your phone number.
Okay. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Trustee Cheney,
Here.
Trustee Lindbergh,
Here.
Trustee Foster,
Here?
Mayor Newhart,
Here.
Trustee McKnight is absent this evening.
Okay. May I have a motion to accept the following reports: January 2023 Clerk's Office, Justice Department, Building Department, Planning Department, and Department of Public Works.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Did you say
Oh,
the
and I
minutes?
did, yes. Motion to accept the minutes of January 17th, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And a motion for authorization to pay all approved and audited claims in the amount of $199,590.58.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the police are not here this evening, so we do not have a police report. I believe the chief is actually away, so, but we do have a presentation from Real Term Energy, streetlight conversion to LED, and it's an update on the project that we've been working on.
And also in your package, you received a copy of the product evaluation report, and that's one of the next items that we need to decide upon.
And when you say product evaluation, you mean the actual light fixture that we are going to
It's going to be purchased and
purchase,
installed.
install, yeah. Good evening.
Okay, shall I share my screen?
Yes.
Alrighty.
Do we need,
A moment to get this up. Okay. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, so this is our product evaluation report for Warwick. So here we have prepared this report.
and
The
who's,
evaluation to summarize our findings for the Village of Warwick. So in the following sections, you're going to see information on our fee details, our evaluation procedures, detailed bid evaluation, and our recommendations for the LED fixtures. So,
and what is, do you want to do an introduction?
sure, Nadira, do you mind, you're doing a bit of an introduction? Or Paul?
Yeah, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Yeah, so I am Paul Vassell, I'm the Director of Intelligent Infrastructure. I was the initial contact with Warwick and Barry when you made the decision to move forward with us. Nadira will be your project manager, and Andrew is our Director of Operations, also overseeing product selection and photometric design.
Great. And then the background on this, just for folks watching, does anybody want to provide that?
I'm sorry?
Yeah, Paul, could you kind of just walk us quickly through the process from when you came on board and what's been happening and then a look see to the future steps?
Yeah, and maybe before that, just a couple words on who we are. Real Term Energy, in North America, we're probably one of the largest municipal streetlight integrators. Certainly, when you look at number of projects completed, upwards of about 350. The vast majority being in the Northeast, and quite a few in New York State. So we entered discussions with Warwick. I guess it's been a little over a year. And the first step in the project was to conduct a detailed GIS audit. So since your project, like most of the projects we've done in the Northeast, includes a buyback, so taking ownership of the streetlights from your electric utility, it's critical that you know exactly what it is that you're purchasing. So we did a physical audit, pole by pole, not just to verify your inventory, but also to collect data, which for Andrew's team was critical in doing the analysis on what's the best fixture, photometrically speaking, given the characteristics of Warwick. Right, so we collected data, including things like spacing of the poles and height of the fixture, offset from the curb, width of the street, roadway classification. All these elements are really important to give you what is part of the goal of the project, in addition to saving a lot of energy and money, getting the lighting right, so providing you with optimized and safe lighting. So we've done that. We've now, and Andrew will go into this, done the product evaluation. I know that you're still waiting for the buyback process to be finalized. So you've taken ownership of this infrastructure. And then once that is done, we can move to the deployment phase of the project, where we will deploy our installation teams and actually replace your existing, I think, majority high-pressure sodium streetlights with the more energy efficient LED streetlights. Following that, we will provide ongoing maintenance. So we'll maintain your new village-owned assets and make sure that they're operating and replaced if and when they go out. All right, so I'll hand it off to Andrew so he can walk you through what we've done here and why we're recommending the fixture that we're recommending.
All right, thank you, Paul. So this is our evaluation procedure. So we have set up a request for quote or request for proposal process on behalf of the Village of Warwick. So we've received 4 complete bids. So as you can see here, we have the suppliers shown, and as well as the manufacturers that they're bidding with. We have Gilman Electrical Supply, Graybar Electric Co., Stresscrete, and Leotech Electronics USA. So in this, in their submissions, Leotech did not include a decorative submission, so there was no consideration within the decorative evaluation for Leotech. Everyone else has submitted an entire evaluation or an entire submission for the evaluation. And now I'll outline the 3-stage process that we go through while evaluating. So the first stage is the minimum requirements review. So we will pass or fail each supplier based on these following requirements. So the first one is the fixtures must be assembled within North America. The second must have surge protection that follows the ANSI minimum requirements. They all must have dimmable drivers so that, you know, whether you want to dim a fixture down or up, they're going to have that compatibility. They must be equipped with a 7-pin photocell photo control receptacle, and this allows for the potential for future smart control compatibility, and that they all require a minimum 10 years warranty. So in this case, all of the suppliers met the minimum requirements. Move on to the next page. Stage 2 is the fixture evaluation. So all fixtures that meet the above requirements are then evaluated based on these four main criteria. So the first one is the lumens per watt per dollar, and as stated here, the lumens per watt is a metric that we use to measure efficiency. This is essentially the amount of light produced per unit of power, and we add the pricing component to this criterion to additionally compare the value received on a per dollar basis. The second criterion that we evaluate is the fixture price or fixture cost. This is without any markups, just put out there, so the price to purchase these fixtures. Next would be the net present value. So we evaluate the net present value, and it's calculated over a period of 23 years. We assume a 5% discount rate and a 3% annual energy inflation rate. And this is approximated at the useful life of the luminaires. So 23 years represents 100,000 hours.
I have a quick question. What's the source of the 5% discount rate?
The 5% discount rate is basically a standard that we use. So it's something that's taken from multiple projects that we've gone over, past research that we've done. In this case, if that's something that the village is requesting to change, we can adjust the numbers and have the net present value adjusted based on that. So it's mainly just the industry standard at the moment.
Okay.
So the next criterion we evaluate is the photometric efficiency. Fixtures produced by different manufacturers tend to greatly differ when it comes to their lumen outputs. And this criterion factors in how efficient each fixture is based on the lumens it emits into the environment per watt of consumable energy. In short, the lighting levels that they put out and what the wattage is for those lighting levels. The next criterion we evaluate is aesthetics. So a judgment of how much the proposed fixture corresponds with the municipality's current aesthetic for any given fixture. It also considers not only the visual similarity to its replacement, but also the material, construction, and durability. And just as a note, these are only evaluated, aesthetic is only evaluated with decorative fixtures, and Cobra heads are not considered in the aesthetic evaluation. Any questions on that?
Does Cobra had the overhead lights?
Yeah, it's that.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so the third stage is fixture ranking. In this stage, fixtures are ranked based on a weighted system. A maximum later score is assigned to each of the criteria above based on their relative importance. So the weights are initially assigned by us at Real-Term Energy. However, again, similar to the net present value question, this weighting system could be customized and reevaluated based on the individual need and importance of the criteria. So we default the highest weighting being placed on the 23-year net present value of savings due to the long life and long-term impact of these fixtures. So these suggested coefficients can be revised at your request. So here's an example of, well, not an example, this is how we actually weight each section. So for the Cobra heads, the lumens per watt per dollar is weighted at 10 points. The fixture cost is weighted on 30 points. The net present value is 40 points, and as stated, that's the heaviest weighting. And photometrics is 20 points, resulting in the 100 points overall. And for decoratives, the exact same weighting is applied, and then once we get to the photometrics, we reduce that to 15 points and add in the aesthetics, which is 5 points.
Can I ask another question related to the net present value? Does the net present value? I'm assuming it includes the. It's the value of the useful life of the luminaries, so that is going to include the benefits, the maintenance costs, as well as the capital costs up front, the fixture price,
So
and
it does not include
installation.
the maintenance cost. Sorry, can you repeat that?
Sorry, I was saying like included in the capital cost would be the fixture price and the installation. So what goes into the net present value?
So the net present value, so it's a calculation that involves the discount rate and the interest rate. future interest rates, or sorry, inflationary rates, my apologies. So I believe we calculate this, the inflation rate we consider on a per year basis is 3%. Again, another industry standard. And the discount rate is the rate of interest that's used to discount all the future cash flows of an investment. So it's going to show you your ROI over the next 23 years.
Right, but is it only including, is it including ROI just on like like what's included in the return on investment? Like what are the costs and the benefits that are included, not the discount?
It's only considering the fixture cost.
So not any
the fixture
maintenance?
cost,
And the savings.
exactly, the savings.
And not
Yeah, we-
installation? Mhm.
Yeah, no, when you look at the overall project cost, that installation is included.
But is it included in the net present value calculation?
The labor and installation cost is not included in the net present value. This is just to see the value of the fixture at its face value over the course of the next 23 years. All of those costs will be, I believe, Paul, correct me if I'm wrong, included in the IGA report.
Is there any?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
the next step in this process, once everybody's agreed on a fixture, we'll go into the IGA or the investment grade audit, and it's at that stage when all of the costs, including capital costs as well as maintenance costs, are incorporated. What Andrew's talking about is the projected savings and the cost of these fixtures, because we're stacking them up side by side to try to select for you the optimum fixture. You know, when we look at installation, when we look at maintenance, they're going to be pretty much the same across the board with any of these fixtures.
Thank you. That's kind of what I was looking for, was that, whether it
Alright.
was apples to apples. Yeah.
Okay, so in this evaluation that we're going to be seeing, the decoratives and Cobra heads are evaluated slightly differently in their rankings. So the Cobra head fixtures are evaluated and ranked collectively. So in other words, when comparing any attributes such as a fixture price, the cost to purchase all Cobra heads from one manufacturer versus another is compared. Similarly, the 23-year net present value, photometrics, and lumens per watt per dollar are all evaluated collectively. For instance, if the fixture price criteria is given a weight of 30, the manufacturer with the most cost-effective fixtures overall will obtain a score of 30. The remaining manufacturers will be scored relative to the most cost-effective fixtures as shown in this image below. So in this case, manufacturer 1 has the lowest price, it's weighted at 30, and then the rest are evaluated scaled down respectively. The decorative ranking, so you're going to see each decorative fixture ranked separately. For instance, floodlights submitted by all manufacturers are compared to each other based on the criterion above that we recently showed. If the fixture price criterion is given a weight of 30, the most cost-effective floodlight will obtain a score of 30. So essentially the same exact thing, we just go fixture by fixture for the decoratives. So here are the overall results in the evaluation. So the brands that were evaluated are Acuity, Cooper, King, Luminaire, and Leotech. So in this chart below, you'll see all their overall scores and individual scores. And the ones highlighted in green are the ones that have the highest ranking, and in yellow, the second highest. We don't rank the total score. Normally we would, but in the case where you would want to select the decorative separately from the Cobra heads or vice versa, we will let you make the final decision. However, our recommendation will be with the supplier with the highest score overall. So in this case, Cooper, Graybar Cooper has the highest score overall, and Acuity scores second highest overall. Cooper with the 94.1, and Gilman Acuity with the 93.9. So it's very, very close here. And the way we evaluate these is the fixture weight that we have, or the weight that we give to each individual category is not, for the Cobra heads, for example, is not exactly applied here. We go based on right here. So the scores are adjusted to account for the percentage of Cobra heads and decoratives in the inventory. So for example, in this case, Acuity scored a 91.5, and we can see that over here on this page. And when compared to other Cobra heads, however, so they scored 91.5 when compared to other Cobra heads. Cobra head fixtures account for about 82% of the inventory, so as a result, the actual Acuity Cobra head score is 91.5 times 81%. So we end up with a score of 75. And the same process applies to the decoratives, and then the total is tallied up afterwards. So as I just stated, the score is towards Cooper, but if they were to be considered individually, which you have that option to choose to order between two different manufacturers if you'd like, Leotech would have scored the highest in the Cobra head category, and Acuity would have scored highest in the decorative category. And the reason why Cooper ended up scoring highest overall is because they came in a close second place across both categories, which resulted them in the higher score. You'll see a 0 here for Stress Creek, which is King Luminaire, and the reason for this is they didn't have the submission, as I stated earlier, and they have a really low score here for the decorative score, and the reason for that being is likely due to a much higher fixture cost, which would result in a much lower MPV, and since those carry the highest weightings, it would reflect in the final score. So here you're going to see the scoring breakdown for the Cobra heads that we briefly took a look over. We have all of the separate categories scored individually and their total scores. So unless you guys have a look at this, one thing to note here, the total price is just the total cost of the fixtures. This is without any markup. So it's just preliminary pricing. These are not definitive numbers. They're all preliminary, and they're going to change more than likely when we go into the design stage. And generally, the fixture pricing would go down because our goal is to approach the design to reach a maximum savings. And this is just a general product evaluation that we request their submissions to just give us the face value of these fixtures on a one-for-one replacement basis. So when we go further into the designs, we tailor those part numbers and they change. And with that being said, we try to keep the wattage to a minimum, lower than what they submitted. Here,
For the
Yeah.
Cooper, so Cooper had the highest net present value of savings,
that's correct.
but they had the lowest lumen per watt per dollar.
Yes, but it's, so in this sense, or in this case, so Leotech has the best, or the best efficiency or the highest efficiency per dollar. So they're likely able to put out more lumens per watt. It could be so that the fixture has a much better efficiency, even with a slightly higher cost or lower cost, they will always come out on top because this is not considering the overall cost, it's just considering on a per fixture basis as compared to the efficiency. They did win the overall score of the Cobra heads though, with that being said, so they are favored in the Cobra head category, and if you guys were to go individually and choose your fixtures, we would recommend to go with Leotech as the Cobra heads, and then the decoratives would have been Acuity. So Cooper just has the highest overall score, which doesn't necessarily mean it's the right choice. It would just be our recommendation based on the weighting of each category.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm talking about the Cobra head. I guess I was just trying to understand why Cooper got the highest net present value of savings, but they have the highest total price.
So Cooper, yeah. This is, I mean, we can get a report further on the net present value of savings with a breakdown to kind of show and give a further explanation of that. But essentially, it's a very close. It is very close. I can look into this and provide feedback to you guys after the meeting.
Okay,
But
yeah.
that-
If
that's
it's not a
basically
quick
it
answer,
for-
it's not a big deal.
Is there anything else?
No. Onward.
I guess relative to this report, at what point do we need to make a selection? And to what degree should that selection be based on knowing the number of fixtures that, of each type that we're going to be replacing with LED?
So, I mean, it depends on what your preference is in terms of choosing these fixtures. Are you more interested in the lowest overall cost or the best performance? Overall, in the industry, these fixtures perform very similarly to each other. So even though these rankings might be a little bit confusing to understand, you know, they might have a little bit of a higher rating than the other one. Overall, they're very, very close. So they're very competitive, I should say. It really depends on what you guys want specifically. Our recommendation would be to go with Cooper just as it meets all the minimum requirements, and it is more competitive overall when it comes to comparing to the other fixtures. But is there any criteria that you guys are most interested in, whether it's cost or photometrics or efficiency?
Did you mean to say Cooper or did you mean to say Leotech?
No. Cooper is overall the highest scoring. Here, I'll go back to this chart.
Oh, we have to select one. We can't select.
No, we can select two.
Split. I
We
thought,
can-
yeah, I thought that's what.
What is
Yeah, so-
what is the downside of splitting, you know, going with Cobra with one manufacturer or supplier and then going with another for the decorative?
Yeah, there's not much of a downside there. If anything, it's just a little bit more complex when it comes to shipping. You may not get all the material all at once from both suppliers. It'll just be a matter of coordinating between the two different suppliers. So that's the only thing that we've experienced. And then if you were to go with one manufacturer across the board, they're going to have everything more organized into their shipping process. And in addition to that, it would just be the electrical contractor organizing everything once he receives all the materials. So this is why we don't put like a final recommendation, even though we would say Cooper. We always open up the potential for you guys to choose individually between the Cobra heads and the decoratives, which is why we stated here, if you were to choose individually, or if you were to consider them individually, they do have their individual scores. So it would basically be your choice.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but another benefit would be in terms of warranty. Like if they ever need a replacement, it's just easier to go to the same supplier manufacturer. That's just one other benefit of just having the same supplier manufacturer across the board. But then again,
Right, yeah.
We have other projects where there's different suppliers and manufacturers for Cobra heads versus decorative fixtures. That's really not a big issue.
Right.
So this is a best value purchase, is that the way we're handling it?
Mm-hmm.
So there's been an RFQ, now you have 4 proposals, and I'm a little confused as to how you could pick and choose among the proposals as far as that goes. I mean, even with best value, it's still subject to competitive bid, and well, you don't have to go with the lowest price. I don't know how you split it between two. I mean, we're talking both purchase of the heads and installation on all these RFQs, right?
The installations are separate.
So this is just the product.
This is just the product.
Yeah, there will be a separate RFQ for installation. It'll have its own evaluation process, different from the luminaire selection.
All right, but and I don't mean to be difficult. I just want to understand. So it goes out for RFQ. The village, gets the proposals in, and it selects on a best value basis which light head that it wants to go with. How could it split that between 2 suppliers? Are you troubled by that at all?
Well, we just pointed out the pros and the cons in choosing 2 different manufacturers between the Cobra heads and the decorative, right? I don't know if you took note of that.
All right, I kind of think that they have to choose between these proposals. If they want to get a new RFQ split up, I guess they could do that. But right now, this is what they're looking at, and I think it's what you have to choose between. I don't
Right.
think you can.
But some of them submitted on both types and some of them only submitted on one type. And so then that creates the expectation that we could split it, I would assume.
Did it say that in your RFQ?
Yeah, so again, Leotech was the only manufacturer that only bid on Cobra heads because they don't manufacture decorative fixtures, okay? And when we do the analysis and the evaluation specifically for Cobra heads, they come out as the most advantageous. There's not a tremendous difference, however, in scoring based on the different criteria that Andrew outlined between the Leotech Cobra head and the Acuity and the Cooper Cobra heads. When we did the evaluation based on your complete inventory, Cobra heads and decoratives, Cooper came out on top. As Andrew explained, you're not obliged to go with Cooper. It's our recommendation to do so based on the 350 municipal projects that we've completed. We find that when there's very little difference in scoring, and there are manufacturers that offer both the decorative and the Cobra head inventory options, the benefits outweigh the disadvantages in going with one single source manufacturer based on delivery, based on skewing, based on ease of installation, based on ease of warranty.
I get that, and the village board may very well just want to use one supplier for those reasons, but just so I understand, if the village wants to buy Cobra heads from one supplier and decorative light fixtures from another supplier, I think I could see that. Are we talking though about the possibility of buying Cobra heads from two separate suppliers? Or decorative ones from two separate suppliers?
Yes, you have that option. You don't have to have a single source manufacturer for the project. We don't dictate the decision here. We do the evaluation based on our experience. We provide you with our recommendation. It's your choice in the end.
Yeah, but I think the village has to award the bid, the proposal, to, again, they could do it on a best value basis, but to a particular supplier on either a lowest price or best value basis. Now, if they're two different products, decorative as opposed to Cobra heads, I could see that. That makes sense to me. But if they're both Cobra heads, two people putting a bid on Cobra heads, how can you decide they're both best value? I don't follow that at all. They may not want to do it, so maybe a moot point.
Yeah, I think it's a moot point.
Okay.
Steve.
Yeah.
A good one, but to discuss, but yeah, I don't see us looking to get two different kinds of Cobra heads.
All right, well,
Just from the standpoint of even down the road when we're starting to, maybe replace faulty ones or replace ones that burn out prematurely, it'd be good to only have to deal with a single one.
All right, so it's not an issue, don't worry about it.
I have a question, and it's about the shipping costs. Is that integrated into the price of the fixtures? And where are they coming from? I mean, depending upon where these manufacturers are in the United States, that could be a pretty high number. So, just curious.
Yeah, Andrew, these are all FOB Warwick, right?
Yeah, and the shipping costs are included, so normally it would just be free shipping as long as it's the bulk order.
Okay.
So it would be included into their quote or the purchase order.
Okay.
Does it matter that Cooper did not submit a bid for the Globe Post tops?
No, so, as you guys were questioned before, I mean, if you were to go for different fixture types within, so for the Cobra heads, for example, we wouldn't recommend to go with individually different Cobra heads, but because not every supplier offers every decorative fixture type, that's where we would recommend, okay, in this case, Cooper won, but they don't have the globe, and you still want to replace that globe, well, great, Acuity has that option, and they were first place in the decorative submission, so it would be at a cheaper price than than any other option that you may have received, and that would be your next best option to go with. And we've done plenty of projects where we've had individually, selected decoratives for that exact reason, because not all manufacturers create, all the existing decorative types or offer them.
Yeah, that looks like it varies across them. Do we know, do we,
I think you're talking about this one right here.
yeah,
Right.
So yeah, in this case, we would have recommended, okay, so Cooper doesn't have it, you guys were to go with Cooper, but for this one, you would go with Acuity.
do we know how many of those, do we need those?
We do.
Yeah. Do we know
Bridges.
how many?
Stanley Deming,
Yeah.
well,
No, not Stanley Deming, the bridges.
other bridges.
Yeah. Actually, the county bridge, I believe, has LED fixtures, yeah.
Is there any economies of scale to be gained by going, with one for all of it over the other? I mean, obviously, we can't do that with the Globe ones, but kind of to the mayor's question about shipping, you said shipping is free, are there any discounts to be gained by bundling further? Or is this inclusive of whatever it would be?
No, this would be inclusive of what it would be. Now, if you were to go with a different manufacturer, for example, with this situation with the globes, we would have to do a little more research into this with Acuity, for example, because this is a quantity of 8 globes that we understand. I'm not sure if there are any more, but 8 from the survey is what we obtained. And in this case, we'd have to work something out with them to hopefully get that free shipping. With our relationship with them, I don't know if that would even be an issue. I don't think it would, but we would be going for getting shipping to be included for you guys for all the purchases. So if you were to bundle it up, yeah, for sure, you would get that free shipping. But if they were to be individual, it would depend on the quantity. And I can't guarantee that, this one, for example, would give you the free shipping.
Yeah, so we would probably wanna think about bundling, if we can only go with Acuity for the top post, because that was Cooper didn't provide that, then we would need to, maybe do the Acorn post top, it would be picking and choosing for the decorative ones, yeah. Which if we're picking and choosing there, then we might as well just go with the best option for the Cobra heads.
Yeah. I see there's different, you have different decorative posts and fixtures for different applications in the village. And on page 10, I believe those are the decorative lantern posts for a specific neighborhood, Warwick Grove.
Right.
And I'm looking at the cost of the fixtures, which are double the cost of anything else in the decorative world. So would we be able to change those fixtures to, let's say, the Acorn post top instead of going with this, very expensive?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Lantern post top,
So
yeah,
that's always an option. That would involve potentially other brackets and adapters, which could be an additional cost, which is not significant enough. It's just worth mentioning. But yeah, you can if they're too expensive or you feel that the cost is too high, however you see it, we can definitely go with whatever fixture type that you prefer, as long as it suits the neighborhood and it's to your liking, I would say. So you're talking about, have these ones here installed at all these locations as well?
What are the next steps? Like, are we making, we're not making a decision tonight?
Not
Like, are
tonight, I think we
We're
need to
just,
think about it. I have one question, and you provided this same service to the town of Warwick and I believe the village of Florida. Is there any benefit down the road, since we're all working with you, we will all be working with you to maintain our lighting systems, to be consistent with what Florida and the town of Warwick did, and will that save us money in our maintenance?
Yeah, I don't believe there would be any measurable savings that would be derived from you going with the same fixture.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So, the next steps would be, and, you know, the sooner you can provide us with your decision on the product evaluation, the sooner we can move to the next step, which is producing the investment grade audit. Once you select the fixtures, then Andrew and his team, they will then photometrically design at each each row type based on the fixtures that you have selected. Then we go out to bid on installation. And then once we have those final costs, we produce what we call the investment grade audit, which gives you the final numbers before we go to deployment. Now, I had a question, Barry, I don't recall, and maybe you haven't made a decision on this yet. Will the village be financing this themselves, or will you be looking for outside financing?
I think we need to see the investment grade audit and provide that to our accountant, and also what your proposal might be relative to financing the project so that we can make that decision in an informed way.
Okay. So, the most popular form of financing for these types of projects, and we've done quite a few of them, is TELP financing, tax exempt lease purchase. The savings of your project will comfortably exceed what those lease payments are, so the project will be cash flow positive from year one. There'll be no cash outlay, in other words. Interest rates have creeped up, as you know, over the last year or so, but even still, with current interest rates, you've got enough spread between your savings and those loan payments where you wouldn't have any cash outlay. So, once we complete the IGA, the investment grade audit, you can let us know whether you want to take a look at a TELP option, and we'll produce those numbers for you.
In regard to the TELP option, before a municipality can enter into a lease-to-own agreement like that, you have to seek out at least two other, it could be from banks, but lenders who could provide you with potential rates and complete an evaluation of financial alternatives form. If it turns out that the lease-to-own is cheaper than borrowing the money, or at least the same as borrowing the money, you can go with it. If it turns out borrowing the money would be cheaper, or if there are cheaper lease-to-own options out there, which would be a bank financing it, then you have to go with them. You can't automatically sign up for real terms proposal. It can be done, don't get me wrong, but there's a couple of hoops that you're going to have to jump through. In terms of the next steps on this, is it going to be a contract for purchase of the light fixtures, or is it just an invoice? How does that work?
Yeah, Andrew, you want to walk them through that?
Yeah, so the next steps would, we would have the design done, the IGA completed, and once that would be signed off by the village, we would begin procurement. I believe in this case, the village would be buying directly from the suppliers, so we'd have them, provide a quote directed to you guys, and from there, I believe our estimating team would help direct you guys in making the purchase and the payment towards suppliers for the material. And then we would have them shipped to an area of your choice, whether you have a town yard or we choose the electrical contractor that is selected for them to receive it. So. does that answer the
So
question?
there'll be an order form basically, and then the town sends a check? Is that how this works, or is there a contract? I don't understand.
Yes, that's correct. According to New York State procurement laws, the procurement of both the labor and the materials has to be directly between yourselves and the supplier.
Okay, I was just asking what the agreement will be between us and the supplier, whether it's labor or materials or what. Is there a contract or just an invoice? That's all. But the town will need a voucher, the village will need a voucher in order to pay on this, at a minimum.
We will help draft a agreement between the village and the electrical contractor. So we will help draft all of that, and we'll send it to the village to review and approve. And same for the purchase orders. We will also draft on behalf of the village, with your approval. We will also send those out. And in terms of invoices, we will also like to receive any invoice you get from the supplier or electrical contractor. We as well review those, make sure they're correct. And we send invoice approval letters to let the village know that they can go ahead and proceed and pay those invoices. So we also assist in reviewing all the invoices we receive for this project.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good. I just have one more question on the decoratives. Is that just the lamp fixture, or is it the post as well? I mean, is it a replacement of the entirety of the piece, or is it just the lamp?
It would just be the fixture head.
Yeah, okay.
And housing. So like in here, for example, it was literally what you see here. This is the fixture housing where all the ballast and the driver would be, and yeah, so it's from here up is what we would change. Now, if you have any preference on changing poles, we could source out that material, potentially using the same manufacturer, but generally we would just replace the head.
Okay.
Is it absolutely necessary to replace the head, or can we just replace the bulbs if the fixture is supportable to the criteria that you've listed, including, what is it, the 7-pronged fixture, so that we can put the smart technology on them?
Well, yeah, we'd have to rerun another evaluation or another proposal or RFQ, because then we would be asking for retrofit fixtures, which would just be the LED driver, and it gets a little bit complicating there because that's on a per fixture basis. We'd have to have a decorative assessment where we would send the EC to go out there, take measurements, and determine if it's feasible to retrofit a new LED driver. And not always is it a bulb replacement. We would remove the ballast and all the guts of the existing fixture, and you can have an LED chip on board retrofit as well as just a standard bulb. That wouldn't be our recommendation, especially because the lamps, the new LED lamps, although they have the same lifespan, because they're separate pieces that get screwed into the base, they are subject to a little more wear and tear. Depending on the housing of the old fixture, is it sealed? Does it get dirty inside? All those different questions go into it. So it wouldn't be an accurate proposal as, for example, will it last as long? Will it provide similar outputs? All that goes into it. But in short, yeah, it's definitely doable. But there are a bunch of other processes that go into that. It's a little more complicated.
Okay. Any more
Does that answer
questions?
your question?
Yeah.
I think we're good here, and I appreciate you taking us through the evaluation. It was very good.
No problem.
So we're going to have to powwow and figure out exactly what we want to purchase. So we will I guess the next step is to figure that out and then get back to you?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, very good. Thank you so
Thanks
much.
very
Yeah.
much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a nice evening. Thank you.
You as well. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
It's interesting because their recommendation was to go with Cooper, but we can't actually go with Cooper for everything
No,
because Cooper didn't provide everything.
right. I think we have to split it up.
Yeah.
What's the time frame, Barry? Is it?
It's all in Orange and Rockland's lap. We are waiting for them to tell us how much it's gonna cost to purchase and what the inventory is of what we're purchasing, so. And they've been, I mean, I thought Grace in December told you that they were.
Good news.
That it was, yeah, it was all done, it's all done,
And then
and
this
now it's
last one,
2
she
months.
said, to one of her associates there, give them more information. We haven't heard back. I'll ping them with an email tomorrow and see where we are on that.
Good. And I know you've been, you've done that a couple, at least once since December, when they said it was, it's almost on my desk, right? So,
Yeah. O&R time. So under discussions this evening, we have two subjects. One is the short-term rental. And Bill, do you have any news you want to share with us?
Well, again, we started this process a number of years ago, and we've had some discussions with the board. I know Mr. Gaba has reviewed one of the drafts. We've made some changes. We probably have to, re-help us out for another review. The trustees have looked at it, and I've gotten some good comments and good feedbacks on it, so I think we're pretty close. We went with, short-term rental owner-operated, whereas the town of Warwick and Greenwood Lake don't have to have the owner-operated. They're working out some details based on some situations they've had. But I think we've all agreed owner-operated is the best way to control short-term rentals in the village. We understand it's gonna good for tourism and in the village. So we want to make sure we do it right. It has some controls and restrictions on it, and I think the ones we have are good. You want me to go through line?
If you want, you
Yeah, I
could,
mean it's.
you could highlight it.
Yeah, I'll highlight. I mean, we've had some definitions. I've had some discussions with our building inspectors. Is what's considered a bedroom, and so we have a pretty good definition on that. It's all based on the New York State's Property Maintenance Code. Descriptions of the dwelling, what an owner would be, and we decided that the owner needs to be at the residence for 6 months, not necessarily continuous. But we also figured that we needed an agent, and that agent would be somebody that would be responsible for maybe day-to-day operations. If the plumbing goes out, electricity, it needs to be addressed. So we added agent as part of the definition. We have residents that will be short-term rentals, but then we also have the central business area where the owners would not be residing in one of those buildings along Main Street. So we designated that that owner needs to be within 15 miles of the village to handle any problems. That will all be addressed in the application process. On page 3, the regulation of short-term rentals, we have some again, more definitions. Number 1, only single-family dwellings, duplexes and dwellings, units necessary for short-term rentals. I don't think we need 2, so I skipped to 3. Short-term rentals will be allowed in all the zones in the village except the continuing care, retired community, and the multiple residence senior citizen areas. Number 5, HOAs. I can think of, 4 or 5 HOAs, Warwick Grove, Homestead Village, Warwick Meadows, Village Cove. They would have their own short-term policies.
Just a quick note so
Yeah.
I don't forget, because
Sure.
I know I had written an email about item number 2 on number 3, and then I realized that I was misinterpreting item number 2, because it says owner occupied residence and property in the central business zone may be used for short-term rentals. I'm wondering, Steve, if that should be clarified to say, like, owner occupied residences only may be used for short-term rentals with the exception of properties in the central business zone, or something to that effect, because the way I read it was, I thought it only applied to the central
I
business
literally
zone.
just made a note on that.
Okay, yeah.
We're gonna have to refine it so that, generally speaking, it must be an owner-occupied residence dwelling. But if it's in a certain area, then the
Okay.
owner-occupied requirement will not apply. I'm not sure exactly how to do that, but we'll look at it, and I'm sure we can find a way.
Okay, gotcha.
Thank you.
Well, we have an app, well, we're gonna use the town of Warwick's guide as the application. We still have to, go through that a little bit more refined. Room number 9, just to check with our insurance agents to talk about liability issues and the amounts.
Excuse me, can we
Yeah.
just go back to the bottom of page 3?
Yeah.
Where we had inserted properties owned by corporations, LLCs, and other cannot be used as short-term rentals. And I understand why that's been crossed out, but I think companion to this, we would benefit from having an entity disclosure law so that any non-person who made application, like an LLC or a corporation, would have to disclose who is basically shareholder in that entity. And I've got a draft of that I put together a couple of years ago that needs some tweaking, but I think it could serve effectively, and it would then, help us know who's behind the veil of the corporation.
Would that then
And-
apply
and-
to all cases of,
I think it would apply to pretty much any application before the village.
yeah,
So, planning board application, ZBA, anything that comes before the village would be required to disclose their entity.
Yeah,
On my copy, number 5 is crossed out. Is that the intent,
Yes.
to delete it?
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Because, you're gonna have buildings along Main Street that are not owned by individuals. You're gonna
Right.
have buildings that are owned by corporate, and they will have second floor apartments that, maybe you want those to be long-term and not short-term rentals. Maybe that's a problem for you.
No, that's why we crossed it out, to allow that, to allow, a building owned by an LLC to be able to use,
Okay, so we are going to allow.
yes.
Okay.
Yes, yep, yep. Page 4 on the bottom, number 11, would be an understanding, it'd be part of the application process, that they understand, chapter 115. We'll have a notarized statement that they are the property owner. Bottom of page 5, we went back and forth on this. We decided the term will be expiring, it will be a 2-year expiration for the term of the rental, and it will be based on the anniversary date instead of a, fiscal. Just some rules on page
Oh, and
2.
you had discussed that with Boris, like he thought that was the easier
Boris
way?
and the clerk and the assistant clerk.
Rather than doing them all at the same
Yeah,
time?
yeah, that would
It's
be-
easier to
That'd
do
be
it?
very tough,
Ah,
time-wise, yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Page 6 just talks about some rules. Seven, denial of short-term rental permits.
Just a note on rules, it just might make sense to identify that, they're required to comply with all village code.
Well, I did that, the page
Said
before we talked
115.
about that. On page 4, number 11, acknowledgement of review and responsible for compliance with the code.
Oh, it
Is
said
that
chap,
enough, or,
yeah, it says chapter 115,
right?
which is a specific element to the code.
Use the zoning code, I would think.
But why, I guess,
Noise
to
and-
Carly's point, why doesn't it just say code, with the code of the Village of Warwick, instead of just chapter 115?
That's a good point.
Let's
Yeah.
not, right, that's
Yeah.
what you were saying?
Yeah,
Okay, all
yeah.
right, good point. Page, talks about the renewals, denials,
Yeah.
suspension. So this is probably some of the information that Mr. Gaba is going to help us with. I added 115.11 appeals that needs to be looked at. And under penalties of offenses, number 2, I think we increased the fine to $1,000, but that's something that you could help us review.
Sure.
Good job.
Thank you
Yeah,
for doing this.
yeah, really, it's been,
Leading the charge.
yeah, thank you for leading the charge, but it's been an extraordinary amount of work because you've been, looking at other codes, you've been, trying to, figure out what is the best fit for our village, and that takes some doing. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
appreciate it.
you're
I think we all appreciate it.
Yep, you're welcome.
So Steve, you're gonna,
I was gonna talk with Bill anyway about
Okay.
these ethics, so,
Okay.
his ethics law.
yes,
And
I
we
can vouch,
we
his
can-
ethics are remarkable.
Came out wrong there, and we could talk about this at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be good, okay.
Yep.
Okay, and then the other subject or topic under discussion is the raise funding, and Carly, you've been working, if you could just give us an update as
Yeah.
a board and where we are, and there's a deadline that's not far.
Looming, yeah.
It's looming, yeah.
So I'll be super brief. The application is due February 28th, and we do have a motion tonight to approve bringing HDR on board to support the review process. So they're not coming on board with enough time to really do a lot of the heavy lifting, but they will be supporting review.
Of your heavy lifting.
Well, and I'm not alone, so I would
know,
like,
and
I would
Tom,
like to
and Tom,
recognize,
yeah.
So far, we've completed a draft of the budget, which I think we could go over at the next meeting because they need to review it, to make sure that it makes sense. There's a project map, there's a detailed schedule that's been developed. The project description has been developed, and then there's an application form. So all of those things are ready for their review. The remaining pieces, which we'll be working on through the week, are the criteria evaluation, which Tom has been working on that, and then the project readiness elements. And so hopefully they'll do a bunch of review tomorrow if they get approved tonight. And then I would love to be as done as possible with everything by Friday. I do want to recognize the staff because they've also been very supportive. So we put out a bunch of letters of support, requested, some signatures on that from folks like the various legislators, the Warwick Valley Central School District, which has been really supportive with their letters. And Raina has been really supportive in getting those letters to the right people. Sadie has been an important player. She helped validate the fringe benefits and the rates for reimbursement to the village because this grant would have no local match, and so we would also include some costs for the village, so she helped with that. And then obviously Tom supported writing the letters of support, and he's been doing the criteria
Yeah,
as well.
You did a great job on that.
Yeah, and I do also want to recognize resident Patrick Gallagher because he helped get, so there's some other residents that are also helping to get letters of support in other parts of the community, but he, there were like 36 or something like that signatures that Patrick helped gather from residents along West Street for the project. So
That's good.
thank you, Patrick, and thank you to everybody else that's been supportive so far.
Excellent work, just from the very beginning that you kind of brought it to the table, so. But now it's the final,
Yeah,
the
well,
final round, so.
yes.
So we'll move on to privilege of the floor. Would anybody like to speak to us this evening? Okay, thank you, Scott. We've got a bit more ahead of us. So we'll move to motions, and Trustee Cheney, would you start?
Resolution requesting reduction in speed limits on certain roadways in the Village of Warwick. Whereas the Village Board of the Village of Warwick is concerned over traffic safety on Route 94/Maple Avenue, Route 94/Main Street, Route 94/Oakland Avenue, and Route 17A/Galloway Road within the Village of Warwick. And whereas in order to improve traffic safety on the said roadways, the Village Board proposes that the following changes should be made in regard to the said roadways. Route 94/Maple Avenue from the North Village line to Van Duzer Place, reduce the current speed limit from 35 miles per hour to 30 miles per hour. Route 94/Maple, Main and Oakland from Van Duzer Place to 3rd Street, reduce the current speed limit from 30 miles per hour to 25 miles per hour. Route 17A Galloway Road from the East Village line to Oakland Avenue, reduce the current speed limit from 30 miles per hour to 25 miles per hour. And whereas the said roadways are under the jurisdiction of the New York State Department of Transportation, and therefore in order for the said changes to be made, it is necessary to obtain approval from the DOT. Now therefore be it resolved as follows. One, that the Village Board of the Village of Warwick does hereby request that the Orange County Department of Public Works and the DOT approve and allow the aforementioned changes to be made to the said roadways in the Village of Warwick. And two, that the mayor is authorized to prepare and sign such documents as are necessary to request that the said changes be made.
Okay.
Second. Or so moved. Didn't we already do this?
Well, we did, but we did not have this specificity that the DOT needs,
okay.
so that's why we had to redo it. So Jen?
Trustee Cheney?
Yes.
Trustee Foster?
Yes.
Trustee Lindberg?
Yes.
Mayor Newhart?
Yes.
Motion to enter into an agreement with Paul Corporation to make repairs to the feed and XR manifold for Skid A at the microfiltration plant for a lump sum cost of $63,445 with an additional allowance for freight charges at a cost not to exceed $500 under an emergency authorization per the recommendation of the water system operator. Funds are appropriated in budget code F8330.4400 purification repairs.
Second.
Okay. Any comments? All in favor?
Aye. Resolution approving extension of J.P. Morgan Chase parking lot lease. Whereas in or about 1989, the Village of Warwick entered into a lease agreement for use of certain parking spaces in the parking lot currently owned by J.P. Morgan Chase, located on South Street in the Village of Warwick. And whereas the said lease has twice been extended and it expires effective January 31st, 2023. And whereas the Village and J.P. Morgan Chase are willing to extend the lease for a 5-year term commencing on February 1st, 2023, and ending on January 31st, 2028, in accordance with the terms of the draft extension attached hereto. Now therefore be it resolved as follows. 1, that the Village Board of the Village of Warwick does hereby approve the extension of the said lease agreement, and that 2, that the mayor is authorized to execute the said lease agreement and any documents necessary to put it into effect.
Second.
And then it's been reviewed by Steve and everything.
It's just an extension of your existing lease. The terms have been
Yeah.
in place forever. There's a somewhat basically drawn map at the end of it showing the
Yeah,
parking
and it's
spaces.
fee-free, right?
Well, not anymore. We now have a very beautiful map. Let me see if I
Oh,
can.
do you then?
Yes, we
One
do.
And
The
that,
one I saw was the
Where is
old
it? Where is it?
hand-drawn.
Oh, here.
I have
The
this
old
one
map
from
isn't correct.
2018.
Oh, no, because our deputy clerk created this map. Oh, no. Too much paper. Ah, here we go.
Wow, look at that.
Look at
And
that.
it's free for the Village of Warwick, right?
Yes. No charge.
Not the parking
Yeah.
spaces. Those are by permit,
Paid or the kind of the
Yeah.
outside.
But the lease.
but the lease is
So
free.
you're not paying.
Yeah.
But Jen, thank you. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
It really.
Almost paid.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a second and we have a roll call vote.
Trustee Chang?
yes.
Trustee Foster?
Yes.
Trustee Limber?
Yes.
Mayor Newhart?
Yes.
Motion to advertise for 4 DPW seasonal laborers at a rate of $16.50 per hour at 40 hours per week for a 16-week period, per the recommendation of DPW Supervisor Mike Moser.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Motion to advertise for the position of Village of Warwick engineer intern at a pay rate of $16.50 per hour at 32.5 hours per week for approximately 12 weeks.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to grant permission to Village of Warwick employee Andrew D'Alessandro to carry over 3 vacation days.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And Carly?
Motion to grant permission to the Warwick Fire Department to hold a biennial firefighters parade on Saturday, June 3rd, 2023. The parade will step off at approximately 4 p.m. with lineup beginning at 1 p.m. near Park Avenue Elementary School as per their letter dated January 23rd, 2023. The parade route will be as follows: South Street, Clinton Avenue, Linden Place, Oakland Avenue, Main Street, High Street, ending at Warwick Station 1. The Town of Warwick Police Department approved the route, and we will have officers assist with traffic and crowd control. Completed park permit and proof of insurance have been received. Permission is pending. Oh, I believe that we received the use request from Park Avenue.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, so,
So, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any comment? This is a big parade, isn't it?
Yeah, this is Chief Kataxis last year, so it is a big deal.
His thank you parade for
Thank you, yeah. Yeah.
all the time and effort he's put in.
Yeah, it's not just, first chief, it's for all, it's all the, from captain all the way up to chief. It's a 12-year stint,
Process, yeah.
so,
Yeah.
A lot
It's
of
quite an
dedication it
accomplishment,
takes to reach that
yep,
point.
yep.
Very good, thank you. So we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion to grant permission to the Warwick Fire Department to have exclusive use of Memorial Park on Saturday, June 3rd, from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. to safely turn trucks around at the completion of the biennial firefighters parade. The event is in coordination with other organizations that regularly use the park for practice and games. Completed park permit and proof of insurance have been received.
Second.
Okay.
I guess I don't know exactly what exclusive use is as far as Little League and everything that's going on.
I think the understanding is that Little League is going to be out of the park by about 4 o'clock.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
Yep. I mean, it's a safety concern.
Oh, for sure.
You
Yeah.
got kids running around, you got big fire trucks.
Yeah.
Certainly, I think that exclusive use should mean that no other organizations should be holding activities during that time.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Any other questions? We have a second. All in favor?
Aye. Motion to grant permission to the Warwick Fire Department to use Veterans Memorial Park and Pavilion for a Fireman's Field Day event from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Saturday, August 26, 2023. Request includes use of alcohol in the park, the use of village-owned tables and chairs, restrooms, pavilion lights, and electricity. Completed park permit, proper insurance, including proof of coverage for Firematic, events and contests and host liquor liability have been received.
Second.
Okay. All,
I would just say that we used to do this years ago, and there has been a hiatus. We just started the field day last year, and it was a riot to see all these firemen do these competition events. So I would encourage people to come and join us and see what they do for fun once in a while. And it was a beautiful day, and I would encourage the public to come.
good.
Great.
So we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion to grant permission to the Warwick Valley Chamber of Commerce to hold Operation Clean Sweep on Saturday, April 22nd, 2023, from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., including permission to use the far end of the Chase Bank parking lot for a shredding event and other collection stations. Completed facility use permit, proof of insurance, and security deposit have been received.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to grant permission to the Warwick Little League to use Veterans Memorial Park and Stanley Deming ball fields for the 2023 Little League season, which will extend from March 1st, 2023 through November 19th, 2023, and to use the Veterans Memorial Park Pavilion and the surrounding area to hold Picture Day and ceremonies on Saturday, April 15th, 2023, from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Completed park permit, security deposit, and proof of insurance have been received. Approval is pending NYMER's confirmation of acceptable insurance coverage.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a question on the Stanley Deming Field. Is that for actual games or is that for
No,
practice?
it'd be opportunity for teams to practice, and
Okay.
usually the T-ball teams are the ones that.
That use it, yeah. Okay, just clarifying it. Okay, we have a second. All in favor? Aye.
Motion to grant permission to the Warwick Little League to hold their opening day parade on Saturday, April 15th, 2023. The parade will step off promptly at 10 a.m. with lineup beginning at 9:30 a.m. on High Street. The parade route will be Main Street, Railroad Avenue, and South Street, Parkway, Park Lane, and then crossing Forester Avenue into Memorial Park. Town of Warwick Police Department approval, completed park permit, proof of insurance, and security deposit have been received.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye. Motion to close High Street on Saturday, April 15th, 2023, starting at 9 a.m. for the benefit of the Little League Parade. Barriers to be provided by the Department of Public Works. The parking spaces on the east side of Main Street between High and Church Streets to be designated as no parking so they can be used for drop-off of participants.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's going to be a fun spring.
Yeah.
Motion to grant permission to the Warwick Division 3 Ancient Order of Hibernians. Hibernians.
That's right.
McGinnis McDonald Division to hold a St. Patrick's Day Parade on Saturday, March 18th, 2023, with lineup at 10:30 a.m. and step off at 11 a.m. The parade will line up in the St. Anthony Community Hospital parking lot, proceed eastbound on Grand Street, South Street down Main Street, Oakland Avenue, turn east, and end mid-block on Railroad Green. Town of Warwick Police Department approval, St. Anthony Community Hospital approval, and completed park permit and security deposit have been received. Approval is pending proof of insurance.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye. Motion to grant permission to the Warwick Division 3 Ancient Order of Hibernians, McGinnis McDonald Division to use Railroad Green on Saturday, March 18th, 2023 for a St. Patrick's Day celebration between the hours of 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. Completed park permit and security deposit have been received. Approval is pending proof of insurance.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye. Motion to approve the budget modification request as per the village treasurer's memo dated February 13th, 2023.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And trustee Lindberg?
Yes, Mayor, motion to authorize the mayor to enter an agreement for repayment of water and sewer charges with the tenant and property owner of 25 Elm Street, Unit 5, Warwick, New York, in the amount of $1,290.10 to be paid in 4 quarterly installments of $322.53, and authorize the mayor to sign the same.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to submit a 2023-2024 Local Government Records Management Improvement Fund, LGRMIF, grant application to support a comprehensive, inactive, and active records inventory and planning project for the offices of the village clerk and village treasurer, and authorize the mayor to sign the same.
Second?
And I just want to make a comment that Raina has been, the village clerk has been working on this grant. We do have a grant writer, but she took it on herself because she knows the intricacies of what she is writing the grant about. And so I just wanted to applaud her for really a tremendous amount of work to write this grant. And it's, hopefully we'll get it, but it's, if we do, it will help us in a very significant way in terms of dealing with some of our records. So I just wanted the board to know that. So we have a second. All in favor? Aye.
Make a motion to hire Galigo Information Services to conduct a records inventory and planning project for the offices of the village clerk and village treasurer at a cost not to exceed $15,000 per the recommendation of the village clerk/records management officer, Raina Abramson. Project is subject to the award of a 2023-24 New York State Archives Local Governments Record Management Improvement Fund grant. Funds will be budgeted in for year 2023-24 budget.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to advertise for the position of Village will Work office intern at a pay rate of $16.50 per hour at 20 hours per week for approximately 12 weeks.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to acknowledge that Michael Venieri, auditor for the Village of Warwick, performed an internal audit of the Village of Warwick Justice Court as of December 31st, 2021, to comply with Section 2019-A of the Uniform Justice Court Act, and has found that all reporting and record keeping is being completed in a timely manner, and the reports are in compliance with the New York State requirements.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to grant permission to Village of Warwick employee Karen Vermillen to carry over 4.65 vacation days.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
And we have a couple of addendums. Okay.
HDR.
Do you want to take that, Carly?
Yeah, motion to authorize HDR Engineering to provide consulting services for the 2023 Rebuilding American Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity Raise grant application with a cost not to exceed $5,000.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. There was a lot of facility use permits, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's been very, very busy. And more to come. So reports this evening. Trustee Cheney, do you have a report for us?
Nothing further than what we've done.
Oh, okay. Well, you've been a busy boy, so thank you. And Trustee Foster?
No, other than for the Memorial Park Master Plan, we do want to sit down with DPW to talk through some of what's been come up so far, and what, if it moves forward, what DPW might be able to do versus.
And get it in the budget.
And get it in the budget.
That's exactly right.
Okay. And Trustee Lindberg?
I'm good, thank you.
You're good. Yes, you are good. Again, I want to thank you for all the work that you've done on the short-term
Okay,
rental.
no, very well.
Very, very good work. And ethics that you're working on, too.
We'll see.
Okay.
Oh, a final thing,
Yes.
actually, because we are going to schedule a working session.
Oh, yes,
To
thank
talk
you.
about sidewalks and traffic safety.
Yes.
As well as fees.
Yes.
Right.
So I don't know if we have to schedule it right here, but if, I'm going to have Raina reach out to all the trustees. We have times and dates from our council. We'll probably ask for our engineer to be at the table, and also you, Mr. Mosher. And potentially the code enforcement officer. So I think he would be well served to be at the table. So
If you prefer to do it during the day, by the way, that's fine.
that's
All the days
probably,
that I gave.
I would rather do it
I'm
during the
free
day.
all day.
Okay, okay. So,
That's
very good.
great.
Okay. And I don't really have a report per se. I did want to make a mention that, we lost a very important citizen, Bob Fletcher, who's an artist and kind of in some ways, a community biographer, and we will miss him greatly. He was a really good soul, and he meant a lot to the community and at large, and so we will miss him.
You might want to point to the picture behind you.
Oh, yes, thank you. Yes, he is the artist that painted this picture of the Warwick Valley Farmers Market. And just one of the many beautiful creations that he's done over time and that really capture our community. We do have to go into executive session. And we will not, when we come out, we will not do any further business, village business, but finish and adjourn the meeting. But Bill, if you could do it, it would be the collective negotiations.
It's only meeting tonight.
Make a motion, we go into executive session to discuss collective negotiations pursuant to Article 14 of the Civil Service Law.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Nice guy.
Good night,
Thank you
Scott.
for
Thank you.
coming.
Thanks for coming.
Have a good evening.
Thank
Aye.
you.
Bill,
Yes.
thank you very much for this. And this is something that I was looking at as being like very much missing from the code.
Yeah,
Which is
Because it
that?
is the
criteria.
criteria for the sidewalk.